Husband suffocating control pushes me to plan a secret escape, submitting his own divorce papers upon my departure. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, 30 meters, who I'll call Alex. Alex and I met in college during our freshman year. We started off as just friends, and got married 7 months ago. I've gotten along with his family, but we aren't super close, but we're friendly enough. The problem is that Alex has begun to make me incredibly uncomfortable. Firstly, he's begun to ask me who I'm meeting with, where, what we plan on doing, how long every single time I leave the house without him. At first, I just thought he was being protective and a good partner just in case something happened, but then he started checking my phone after the visits, vetting and researching each of my friends as well. He also has been pursuing me to link my bank account to his, as he's in charge of the finances when he was perfectly fine with keeping them separate before. We fight about it almost every day. Finally, yesterday when he was preparing to go on a work trip for 2 weeks in California, he demanded I wear a tracker so he could keep an eye on me while he's gone. I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm suffocating, and his family who I've spoken to about his worrying behavior just said he's being careful and protective as a good husband should. I need to gather my things together and find a way to be gone before he gets home without tipping him off. He's always threatened that if he ever found me cheating on him he'd turn in divorce papers the same day. He keeps a filled out copy in his desk. I'm going to submit those the day I leave. But there's so much to do: Bergen finding a new place to live, seeing if my job has any transfers available, packing and moving in 2 weeks. His return flight May 11th, so I need to move quickly. I'm posting here because I don't have any close family, and I can't risk dragging my friends into this as we share the same friends. I just need a place to vent, and ask if anyone has any advice on the easiest and safest way to do this. Edit. Oh my god, you guys are amazing. I never even thought to not use his divorce papers. I'll check for cameras before I start any packing or prepping. I may also shred his divorce papers just in case and look into getting a lawyer for myself. I'm in a no-fault divorce state, that much I so remember, which will help. Update 1. Some asked why I'd be hiding things from Alex regarding going out and who I'm meeting with. I don't, and I have nothing to hide. However, when he begins to then double-check everything I tell him with the other people there, right down to each person I talk to and what I said. Did I send any text MSGs? Did I order food? How much did I eat? That's when it started to feel like I was slowly being pushed into a corner. It didn't start that bad, but gradually grew worse over time. All of the Reddit subs my in-laws' families are part of our related gardening and DIY, so I highly doubt they'll see this. If so, by the time they do, I'll hopefully be gone. I talked to my job and explained things to my manager. And they promised to look into openings in other states to see if they could get me into one. They'll have an update on that in 3 days. I trust that my bank account is secured, considering he's tried to get into it before and failed. I found one camera in the kitchen, another in the living room and one in our bedroom. As such, I've left them in place for now and done all other planning, either in the bathroom pretending I'm taking a bath. I'm honestly staying away from the domestic violence services as my sister-in-law is unfortunately higher up in those, considering she volunteers there, and I have a feeling if I did show up there, they would know in a heartbeat. I can't look for apartments until I get the update from my work, but either or I'm still gonna be leaving the state. The day before I do, I will be changing my number carrier and wiping my laptop and all of his electronics before I do. I've met with 2 lawyers so far and had them look over the paperwork. My husband had prepared and both said that it did have some clauses in it. That could have caused me some trouble down the line. What alarmed all of us closed the fact that several of those clauses dealt with future children, and not as a hypothetical. Like several hairs suggested, I have a feeling he fully intended on getting me pregnant to keep me trapped and tied to him. There are 3 other locations my job could send me to, and I have, as a precaution, begun looking into all 3 cities and housing in the areas. Just in case one of those, this is the one they send me to. Even if they don't have an opening that they can push me into, then I will just have to quit, move and figure things out on my own. I have enough money to live and survive for a few months until I can pick up another job. Unfortunately, all of our friends are mutuals and would likely be unaware of the consequences of saying or sharing anything I do or say with my husband. I don't have any surviving close family, and obviously my in-laws are not a good resource to rely on. I am on my own, unfortunately, other than the wonderful bonds I've begun to make here. Update 2. Good news. My work has an opening I qualify for that will not only shift me across the country, but also comes with a salary increase as well. I've started telling my in-laws and friends that I'm planning a surprise outing for when my husband gets back for just the 2 of us. This way, people don't give me odd looks if they see me out and about. I've even gone as far as asking Mill to show me his favorite recipes. Meanwhile, I've found a moving company that, while small, is willing to work in a storm. The reason is in 5 days, we're supposed to get hit with a large storm front. I plan to shut off the breaker and say we lost power if he asks, just as several people here suggested, and even send him a short clip of the storm. I'll have all of my stuff moved that afternoon, and I will be flying out once the weather has cleared enough to do so. I have a lawyer who will push my divorce through, and I've filled out the necessary paperwork so that I don't have to be here for it. I'm not suing for assets or alimony, and I've shredded his divorce papers as well. I've set up a cheap payphone plan through Cricket until this is all said and done, at which point I will find a new carrier, number and phone. This one is being wiped and left behind. My laptop is provided by my work, and the IT department inspected it thoroughly and it was clean, thankfully. No other electronic aside from my laptop and new phone will be coming with me. If Alex needs to talk to me, he can do it through my lawyer. Not sure if anything else will happen. My fingers are crossed that he doesn't think anything's amiss until after I leave, and I'm not turning the breaker back on when I do. He can when he gets home. My work is covering the plane ticket, so that at least is one expense I don't have to finagle in. Update 3. It's been a busy week, but I've gotten so much done. Firstly, I am now out of the house and am currently in a hotel while I look for an apartment. It's a big city, bustling with people no matter where you look. We had a pretty bad storm system hit back home, that actually lasted 2 days. High winds, thunder, lightning and even hail everywhere. I didn't take much from the house, my documents, clothes and important sentimental items. I left all of the furniture and electronics behind. I cleaned the house top to bottom and took pictures on my phone so he couldn't claim I damaged anything when I left. My lawyer has already started divorce proceedings, and my husband will be served on the 8th. His plane is due to land early morning, and the sheriff will be there at the house waiting for him. He is very much about public appearances and reputation. My lawyer will be calling him as well to inform him that I am more than willing to air out everything to the public about his actions if it means securing my freedom from him. I will go to court as long as I must to get this pushed through. I haven't told our friends or his in-laws yet. I will do that while he is on the flight to prevent him from getting wind of it before he's handed the divorce papers. I will be calling around and explaining why we're getting divorced, to try and prevent him from twisting this into somehow being my fault. I don't want him trying to claim I had an affair or something, so I want to get the truth out before he can twist this. I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but yet I feel almost jittery and off-kilter. I keep looking over my shoulder and monitoring what I say even when I don't really need to anymore. Hopefully that will fade soon. My work is covering the cost of the hotel, and I'm working on getting my other things in order. I also need to find a new GP as I want to get a full test just to make sure everything is okay. I don't know when my next update will be, probably when the divorce papers are filed or if we have to go to court to push them through. I will try to keep my head up, but it feels like I'm in a whirlwind or something with so many things to do and think about. I kinda thought it would be easier once I got out of the house, but while the fear is smaller, somehow the number of tasks only seems to have grown. Update 4. Sorry I haven't updated for a while, things got hectic and a bit chaotic honestly. Firstly, I'm working on getting an apartment still and have applications in at 3 different places and will hopefully hear back from them soon. I'm still going into work here at the new location, so I don't have to worry about burning through my emergency savings completely. I've gotten a lot of emails from Alex, his family and our old friend group asking question after question. I have only sent one return email to Alex, explaining that I don't believe we are truly compatible, and it is BST we separate now. That his treatment of me when I'd done nothing to deserve as such was just as much of a deal breaker as cheating was for him. I ended the email with the statement that I would not be contacting him further and anything else he needed to pass on to me or vice versa would be done through my lawyer. For his family and friends, I just typed up one email outlining everything that had happened and why I left. I told them I wished them no ill will, but that such treatment of his wife and partner was not acceptable. That should Alex get remarried in the future, I wish they would help support both partners and not just Alex. Alex, from what my lawyer told me, was livid when he was served. The sheriff actually ended up booking him for assault on an officer and menacing due to the threats he was shouting. His father bailed him out in a few hours, but with the testimony of the sheriff, my lawyer believes I have a very good chance at getting a restraining order. Alex, upon returning to the house, apparently lost his temper again, breaking the dining table into pieces as well as the TV, and putting several holes in the walls. At least that's what one of the emails from one of our friends reported as Alex called him to help him clean up the mess. My lawyer already has pictures of the house I took, with timestamps as evidence nothing had been damaged by me. My friend reported that Alex tried to claim I'd been the one to trash the house, but the holes in the wall were at head height. Alex is 6 feet 3 inches, and I'm 5 feet 4 inches, so he knew that was false. Either way, taking the pictures definitely will help me. So again, thank you everyone here for the advice because I never would have thought of that on my own. My work won't share details of where I am, as I do work with some higher-end clientele who value security and that information won't be gossiped about, and no, I'm not some stripper or escort. I deal with contracts, notary and business management. As such, even if Alex tried to use my work to find me, he wouldn't succeed. Update 5. Firstly, no, I didn't bring my car. The public transport here is good enough to use without needing one. I have secured an apartment, and the building has good security. You need a key card to enter, and there is a security guard at a desk right by the entrance to the building. As part of my contract, I gave them a photo of Alex and his family so that even in the off chance they do find me, they won't be let in. The responses I got from the emails varied. His family said I was overreacting, and that I owe Alex an apology for the problems this has caused him. The pending criminal charges puts him at risk of losing his job if he's convicted. Alex sent a long email, apologizing and pleading for me to come home. He said he was worried for me, that he is willing to go to therapy if it will appease me. He wants us to remain together, and he didn't think leaving was an appropriate response to his genuine concern and worry for my health and safety. The friends gave somewhat lacking replies, saying that they didn't think Alex was ever going to hurt me and that I shouldn't be letting my imagination run away wild. As much as I want to say I was surprised by the lack of support, I'm honestly not. He intends to fight the divorce. I am letting my lawyer handle it, and I am also pursuing a protective order as well. Once I got approved for my apartment, I also froze my credit. I've changed my phone carrier and number, as well as making sure none of my documents list Alex as next of kin or POA. Some have asked why I was so paranoid about Alex and his possible future actions. The answer for that actually is somewhat simple: my grandmother. I love that woman to bits. As a teen, she explained why my grandfather was never around. He was extremely abusive and manipulative, and her generation didn't allow divorce really. She wouldn't have been able to buy a house or get a good enough job to support her and my mother on her own. As such, she endured it, shielded my mom as she could until my grandfather died. When I felt like I may have been overreacting, I remembered how she'd said she'd always wished she'd been able to see grandfather for what he was early on when she may have been able to annul the marriage. Update 6. It's been a month since my previous update, and I wanted to share some of what's been going on in the meantime. The divorce is proceeding, but even though I don't need him to agree, and he's not, it means I have to go through the courts to get it approved. As such, it could be upwards of 6 months to push it through even though I'm filing without attempting to claim property, alimony or compensation. I just want a clean break and separation. Alex has attempted to use our friends to reach out to me, as he doesn't want to use my lawyer for communication. He's saying it's disrespectful and cowardly to hide behind my lawyer and not meet him face to face. Alex wrote me a letter that he did pass off to my lawyer, but the contents were him justifying his actions and claiming that in today's time it is dangerous for women to be on their own, which is why he was so intent on trying to keep me safe from harm. He wanted me to understand that he was trying to protect me as best he could and was hurt that I would just lie to him and hide my actions from him related to my dissatisfaction with our marriage and my moving. I didn't reply, because at no point did he apologize. All he did was turn everything around on me as I was being overly dramatic, emotional and cowardly. There was a second letter with Alex's from my sil. Her letter was honestly disturbing and completely justified my misgivings regarding approaching her in any kind of professional capacity. She spent 5 paragraphs detailing how a real abusive relationship looked like and that Alex was the furthest thing from abusive. The details she included were all related to financial abuse and physical abuse. Nothing like what Alex had been doing. She stated that my attempts to smear her brother's name for attention and clout made me the abuser, not him. I haven't really been able to process that, admittedly. Part of me can't help but wonder if she's right. I mean, I blindsided him by leaving as I did and am refusing to speak with him at all. My old boss recommended that I look into getting into therapy after I moved, and I think I need to. I have had a hard time adjusting to being on my own. I keep censoring myself and haven't even gone out to eat yet. I always end up worrying about what if someone sees me, what if I get in trouble for spending my money on something frivolous. My lawyer is continuing to fight for the divorce, and I shouldn't need to be physically present in court. Any meetings needed between me and the judge can be done via Zoom. I'm trying to avoid confrontation with Alex and his family for now as much as I can and passed both letters to my lawyer in case he needs them. Our friends are mostly trying to avoid taking sides still, and I'm honestly approaching the point of just letting them go as well. I'm tired of fighting for them to understand at this point. I don't know if anything is going to happen, so my next update may not be until around mid-November depending on how long it takes to push the divorce through. Work is going well, and it's helpful to have something familiar to anchor my day-to-day life when so much has changed and is changing even now. Now on to second story. Best friend had a crush on me, but she thought I would never date her because she used to be fat, so now I'm afraid to make a move and potentially lose her. When we met, I was in a toxic relationship with my now ex. She was focusing on school, working and getting in shape, so I never really saw her romantically due to these factors, but I've always thought she was a beautiful person and a joy to be around. I'll call her Kelsey. I've told her things I wouldn't dream of telling my ex, talked or hours about anything, played board games, watched movies, went to restaurants, invited her to my book club and just included her in almost every aspect of my life as she did the same with me, but we were rarely alone together. Nothing intimate besides hugs and jokes with friends, so never really thought of her like that. I finally had enough of the years-long verbal abuse, threatening to harm herself and mind games with my ex when I started to realize I was spending more time with Kelsey and would sometimes forget about my own girlfriend as Kelsey made me happy and ex filled me with dread. It was roughly 7 months ago when I broke up with her. Kelsey 2 years ago was a bit chubby and she was working really hard to get it off, so I was super supportive of her and gave her fitness nutrition tips. She has gone from 195 to 130, but her heaviest was apparently 260 and you cannot even tell she was once that size. I'm so proud of her, and ever since the breakup she's all I can think about, and we've been spending some time alone now. Her lips, the way she laughs, her smile, her eyes, and yes, her body is incredible. The fact she put in the work to lose the weight and is disciplined to keep it off while working and going to school makes her even sexier to me. She's always been there without me even asking. She would just know I needed her support in some way and I would always find a way to let her know I truly appreciated her. I had a feeling she felt the same about me, but I let a bunch of insecurities. I'm freakishly tall, been called boring, told I talk too much, hate my chin, etc. stop me from telling her how I felt. A few weeks ago we were all at a taco joint with friends stuffing our faces and having a great time until a guy approached her and offered to buy her a drink. My heart sank and I immediately wanted to tell him off. She's not interested, but was able to fight it off as I knew it was irrational and I had no right. She sweetly agreed with some encouragement, the girls at the table, and followed him to the bar and they started chatting. I had never been so angry, sad, and guilty at the same time about a woman. The time I've known her she's been single except for a few dates that ended up wanting to just be casual, which really hurt her as she doesn't hook up and hasn't been intimate with anyone for a few years since she was focusing on herself. Guys and girls hit on her all the time and it's always made me irrationally upset even before I realized I loved her because they didn't know her. So I should have been happy that she was talking to this guy and seemingly enjoying herself. She was giggling, smiling, sharing nachos with him. I was unbelievably bummed, so I started to head out as I didn't want to watch her flirt with this guy and cause a scene. When I got home I saw she sent me a good night text saying hope I feel better. Friends told her I wasn't feeling too hot, she was worried as I'd kinda been off, and let her know if I needed someone to talk to. I fell in love again. I decided I was going to tell her how I felt as it wasn't fair to her and it was unhealthy keeping it in since I can barely form sentences around her now. I asked one of the girls if she had an idea that Kelsey might have crush on me after explaining why I want to know. She confessed that she did indeed, yes, but apparently Kelsey told her that she didn't think I'd ever date her because she used to be fat. She's not in my league and I probably only saw her as another sister. I was devastated I gave her that impression and almost didn't believe, but it all makes sense as to why she would think that. I've never made any kind of move on her and I myself am a pretty fit guy, plus my ex was super skinny. I'm so afraid to make a move now that she's lost so much weight that she's going to think I only like her now because she's not fat anymore and my feelings are surface level. She means so much to me and I don't want to fuck this up. Most of my friends are saying she's going to understand and not take it personally because she knows me. Some said she's gonna think I just want to bang her now that she's hot. My sisters think I should tread lightly as she could feel like a rebound. How to approach this without coming off as shallow and potentially losing her or her respect. Update 1. After coming back to these comments and messages over and over, I realized I was severely overthinking everything, making things way harder than needed, and came to the conclusion that I didn't need to bring up such a sensitive topic in the first place just to tell her how I feel, especially since she didn't confess that to me directly. I just needed to tell her and quick rest would follow. I texted her the next morning asking if we could grab a bite, just us two, sometime the coming weekend, had something important to tell her and that I missed her, which was true. I stupidly ended up worrying her with the way I worded this. She thought I was moving, however she was excited and told me she missed me too. She was free that night if I was down and the day after next. I very much started to panic as it was sooner than anticipated, but that night really was the best time. I was still too embarrassed to show her the previous post in its entirety, but I was willing to do so if she doubted my intentions. To keep this brief, I'll spare the mushy details, but we met at her favorite tea shop, caught up for a while, then she actually outright asked me what I needed to tell her. It took me a bit to articulate everything since I was actively trying not to stutter like a dweeb, but I told her most of what I originally posted. I've had feelings for her even before the breakup and just didn't know how to tell for so many reasons. I told her the important ones, but that she's always on my mind. I've always loved how kind, caring, thoughtful, dedicated, and just all around amazing on top of being so beautiful. She made me realize sacrificing my happiness to keep someone that hates me alive was unhealthy, that I deserved to be happy, and I was happiest with her. No one brightened my day like she did. She looked preciously stunned for a moment after I was done and was tearing up a bit at this point, but proceeded to tell me she's felt the same since we met and had a tiny feeling I liked her. However, she didn't think I'd be interested in dating her since we were such close friends, plus the toll my ex put on me meant I probably needed some time to recover, but she was just so happy I actually had the guts to tell her how I felt that as she was never going to tell me, so we both kinda awkwardly laughed for a bit. We talked for a while more and I was so overjoyed, relieved and super nervous as the mood immediately shifted to something newly intimate, but I did end up asking to take her out on a real date, whenever she was ready, as I did just lay a lot on her. Long story short, as a lot has happened since then, she's now currently my girlfriend. We're taking things super slow. Our second date is in a few days and I'm kicking myself for not telling her sooner. She hasn't mentioned her weight at all and I will be 100% showing her the post if she ever does, so now I'm really glad I didn't start off with that. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you for your feedback, encouragement, support, and couldn't have done it without you guys. Serious rock stars over here.